Been a while. It's been a hot second since I've streamed anything, but I figured I had a little time today, and this was a game that I just discovered that I thought was interesting enough to share with you guys, and so that's what I'm doing. So we are here today checking out this new game. I believe this actually came out either right at the end of the Steam summer sale or just before it ended. And as a result, I think it got a little bit lost in the shuffle with all of the new releases and summer sale madness. And I just caught a glimpse of it on the new release list. And immediately, the thing that caught my eye about it was the fact that it has cooperative network play. Um, Basically, what this game is a sort of first-person roguelike randomized dungeon crawler type game called Barony. And there are a lot of games like this. There's at least three or four that I can think of off the top of my head that basically have this same premise. But what all those other games lack, which this one has, is that multiplayer co-op functionality. I have not actually had occasion to test it. I'm hoping to do that a little later this weekend if I can get together with some peeps to do that. Um, but the impression that I get from reading some of the Steam reviews and comments in the forums and stuff is that the multiplayer seems to work pretty well and is pretty fun. So I'm cautiously optimistic that it will actually behave as advertised when I go to try it a little later on. But I thought it might be a good idea, just because I know this game hasn't been getting a ton of buzz or a ton of attention, to maybe try to stream at least a little bit of the single player, because obviously the experience is going to be pretty similar whether you play this single player or cooperatively, uh, at least from a basic fundamental gameplay standpoint. So I think what I'm going to do is just jump in here and start a new game. One thing that I would like to point out, and it's something that I'm hoping the developers will pay attention to if they happen to come across the VOD of this, is that it would be really nice if the user interface scaled with the resolution. This is a good example of a game that I think would benefit from that, because at 1080p here that we're streaming at, I think the UI elements are a little bit small-ish, especially given like the big chunky pixel art style of the game. And I think it's not so much in this character creation section, but when you get into the game proper and you start looking at the character screen and inventory and stuff like that, I like the way it looks in 720p a lot better than the way it looks in 1080p. And that's just my own personal preference and kind of desire. And it would be nice to, say, have a pixel doubling option for the UI, where if you're running in 1080p and you want the game to be as smooth and non-jaggy as possible, but you still want the user interface to scale up to that resolution, that would be one of the first things I'd like to see added to this in terms of future updates and things of that nature. But having said that, we're going to try to muddle through here in 1080p. I think it works fine for the most part. It's just sometimes I think the inventory squares and some of the tooltips and stuff get a little hard to read and a little hard to deal with when they don't scale up to these higher resolutions. So let's go ahead and make our character. We're going to make a male warrior because, well, we're playing a dungeon crawling game, so who doesn't make their first character a warrior? I mean, come on, let's get real. We'll go with this guy because I kind of like the way his face looks. And we'll call this guy the name of the stream, because why not? And we're going to do single player. Now, I did take a look at these menus a little bit earlier just to see how this would function. And basically how it works is when you go to create your character and you say, host a multiplayer game or join a multiplayer game, basically this is old school like IP addresses and ports and stuff like that. So if you've already got like a port open for, say, something like Unreal Tournament or some other game that needs a hard open port, they'll let you actually type in whatever port you want to host the game on, and then people who are joining the game can just punch that port in. So you don't actually have to set up any new port mappings on your router. If you've already got one set up for another game, you can just use that same port that you already have mapped, which is kind of convenient. I mean, as convenient as things can be if you're not just using NAT. But the way it seems to work is when you go to set up a multiplayer game, everybody who's going to play in the game has to join before the game actually starts. It doesn't appear as though you can have people join mid-game, and I think the reason for that is because it scales everything in the dungeon based on the number of people who are playing. The other thing that I found in my limited multiplayer testing of this is that if you're, say, in a party of 2 or 3 players and one or more of those players is killed on a given level of the dungeon, the only way they can be brought back is if the rest of the party makes it to the next level, at which point those people can get resurrected and brought back. I haven't actually seen that in action yet. I just happened to be playing alone on a multiplayer server, and I got the message when I died indicating that was the case. But again, for our purposes here today, I'm just going to do single player, and we'll go ahead and jump in. Alright, so basically what you're looking at is this sort of, I hate to use this word, but Minecraftian sort of visual aesthetic we got going on here. This sort of chunky pixel, like it is 3D, but it kind of has the look of those old 2D or 2.5D Doom, Wolfenstein, old school type games. I personally am not a fan of this art style. I think this game would be a lot more visually appealing if it wasn't this chunky kind of graphic style, but I know a lot of people are into this sort of thing, so you know, if this is your thing, you're gonna love it. If it's not your thing, I think the gameplay might still be good and interesting enough to look past the art style if the art style is not your thing, as it is in my case. So one thing I really like about this game is it's a fairly simple user interface. You kind of just go around and look at things. If you want to grab something that you see, you basically just right-click on it, and you see it puts it right into my inventory, into my quick slots there down at the bottom of the screen. You can see there that book just went to slot number 5 automatically. So if I hit the 5 key, I can actually read, you know, the journal entry from that book, which is kind of neat. I like the smoothness and the simplicity with which that operates. You also notice that when I have my inventory pulled up, you've got your character sheet over here, and you can interact with this. You can see like what kind of status effects or what sort of, you know, enhancements your characters earned or gained from items or that sort of thing. Also, this game seems to be very based on old roguelikes like Rogue and Moria and things like that, where traps and poisons and curses and all the old school kind of things that games used to throw at players a lot more frequently back in the day seem to be present in this game. So you kind of have to be careful about how you move about the game and how you conduct yourself, because this isn't your typical action RPG style of game. It's a much more hardcore roguelike sort of, you got to really pay attention to what you're doing or face brutal consequences sort of game. But the other thing that I really liked about this game right off the bat is I always like it when games let you do things that you feel like you should be able to do, right? Like, how many dungeon games do you play or do you deal with where you think, okay, here, let me describe this scenario in a more legit way, and it'll make more sense. So I go in here and I go to play this for the first time, and I'm like, oh man, okay, door here, cool. Okay, switch. Obviously, the switch is going to open the door. Makes sense, right? But then I step in here, I'm like, crap, it's dark as hell in this room. What am I going to do? And the first thought I had was, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could come and yank one of these torches off the wall? And sure enough, if you right-click on the torch, you can see it shows up there in the inventory, and you can hit that key and light it up, and now you've got light. And that's like a really elegant way of letting the player discover that for themselves without kind of hitting them over the head with it, but like letting you know what kind of game this is, right? It's the sort of thing where if you see it, you can probably interact with it. If you like, I think one of the good things about keeping the visual style simplistic like they have in this game is that it makes it so that everything kind of is communicated in a very simple, straightforward manner, which I definitely appreciate. Again, same thing here with these doors, right? You just right-click on them and they open or close, whatever the case may be. And notice that I actually have to have line of sight, like my cursor has to be on the door, right? Like if I right-click in the doorway or whatever, it's not going to work. But as soon as the cursor's touching any part of the door, when I right-click, I get that interaction. Now, same thing with these ladders leading down to the next level of the dungeon. But what I'm going to also do here is I'm going to grab another one of these torches, because I happen to know from the little bit of playing of this that I did that eventually your torches run out. So I don't want to be caught without a second torch in the event that this one goes away on me. And I'm going to head down here to this next part of the dungeon, and I see somebody's chatting.
Best of luck, mortal.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the case. And I think when you talk about games, you know, somebody in chat was just saying the graphics in this are real simple and that makes them easy to build, and that's absolutely the case. I mean, I think if you're talking about building a game with a small team, or you know, like an individual or a small group of people and trying to actually put a game together, going with a simplistic sort of graphic style like this makes a lot of sense, right? Because you very much can create these visuals in a fraction of the time it would take to do something more robust. Oh man, that guy is big. Oh, don't hit me, bro. Okay, I got him. Although you'll see I'm bleeding, which is kind of gross and cool at the same time. Actually almost died there, so that was not awesome. I'm still kind of getting my head wrapped around the nuances of the combat system, like whether or not it makes sense to back off and try to dodge enemy attacks, or if it's better to block. Now, of course, right now I'm using this torch, but under normal circumstances I'd be using this shield, and how the game mechanic kind of works is whatever's in your left hand, when you hold the space bar, it brings that up. So I'm thinking the real appropriate mechanic for battling stuff might be swing and block, that kind of thing. But because I had the torch out, I didn't get the chance to try to do that because I couldn't really block with the torch per se. Let's see if I can block that. Oh, he got me, you scumlord. Okay, well this will at least let us see something important, which is these dungeons are all procedurally generated from what I've been able to determine. So what you're going to find is that if I restart this, the beginning part will be the same. You know, I go here and I pick up the book off the table. Maybe I gank a couple of these torches on my way down. And if you were playing in multiplayer, I mean, I guess you could have like everybody in the party just grab torches out of here. I'm actually kind of curious. Yeah, I mean, there's literally no light sources beyond those torches. So if I take these, you know, we're pretty much darkening this room as we remove these light sources. So that's kind of neat. It definitely seems like maybe the torches get a little boost to their lighting effect because it seems like they throw more light than they should when they're mounted on the wall, but maybe not. Let's see if I grab this one. Okay, so there is some ambient light here creeping in. Like, even though I've removed all the torches from the walls, I still am getting some. And that helps. Yeah. So I think even if you were like in a situation where you were, say, going through the dungeon and you'd completely run out of torches, you might still get enough light just from ambient light to navigate back to find a torch or help yourself. So it seems as though the game's not going to leave you in pitch black darkness, at least. That's the impression that I'm getting. Alright, I'm just now I'm just
All the best.
just hoarding torches at this point. Alright, so let me switch to the shield right away, like right off the bat, so if I get into trouble. Okay, so you can see the layout here is completely different, right, stepping out of this room, and also the placement of the creatures is different. So I really have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing to kind of start. Alright. Let me see if I head over. Ooh, hey, buddy. Alright. Oh, shoot. No. No, don't kill me. That was more of a hit than I really wanted to take, but that's alright. So it looks like I got some items there. Maybe some sort of ring. Let me step in here for a minute, see if I can make myself... Ah! Alright, so that went a little better. So definitely blocking is a good thing. And notice that when I'm blocking, I move very slowly. But if I drop the shield, I kind of go back to normal movement speed. Let's close this door, shall we? Oh look, a chest. Oh no, it's a shield. Okay. Wonder why that was just laying here. This is like the remnants of some other player or something. That looks like a bow of some kind. Okay. So I think I'm reasonably safe. Oh wait, this door is open. That's never going to be good. This doesn't seem closable either. Alright. So what I kind of want to do is hang out in here for a minute and go through my inventory a bit. Okay, so that's cool. Arrows those seem useful. We probably want those. Let's see. So if I go with the arrows, I could use the torch and probably be okay. But what I think I want to do is look at the inventory. And yeah, I noticed that there was spells is one of the things you can do. Ah, shoot. Of course, I had the inventory pulled up there when that guy came in. So that tells us something important, which is when you have the inventory up, you can't run away. So if you're in that situation and you need to run away for your life, make sure you close the inventory first. But yeah, I definitely get the impression that magic plays a pretty important role in certain circumstances in this game. It seems like detecting traps is pretty important, which I assume like the rogue class is pretty good at that, at least if they're following sort of traditional RPG rules. Yeah, things of that nature. It seems like they're really sticking with old school rogue-like, D&D-like traditional RPG mechanics for the most part. That seems to be really the focus of this game and what it's kind of about from a mechanical standpoint, which, you know, I can definitely get on board with that.
All the best.
I think what I may do is go with the bow torch combo, so that way I have light and I can hit things from a distance. I think I just saw a guy go walking by here, but again, because of the random nature of this, I'm not quite sure. What the heck is this? It's probably something good, right? Is this an enemy over here? No? Could have sworn I saw something going around that corner. Oh, hey buddy. Oh man, those don't do nearly as much as I think they should. Okay. I shoot you in the face. Face? No. Okay, so clearly the arrows not as effective as the melee weapons. Good to know. I wonder if I can charge those shots up. I didn't think to try that until just now. I wonder if I hold. No.
Another one joins the
No,
fray.
they just kind of fire. And actually, if you keep the mouse button held down, they just auto-fire. But those don't do nearly enough damage to be anywhere close to the enemy. Like, you definitely would have to back off pretty far to be able to kill something before it would actually get to you. So I'm not sure how effective that's actually going to be. There we go. Let me just try that one more time, knowing that I can't let it get close to me. So one thing I'm definitely struggling with a little bit is the not being able to run or sprint to kind of get away from the monsters. Like, it seems like they move at a pretty similar speed to you. So if they kind of corner you, or you know, you aren't able to kind of get away from them, then you're in trouble. What is this? It seems like a potion of some sort. That's probably a good thing. That's something. I think one of the biggest problems with the simplistic art style is sometimes it's really difficult to tell what you're looking at, especially with regard to the items. Like, I'm sure once you pick a bunch of stuff up and look at it in your inventory, you probably get the idea pretty quickly of like what these things actually are. I kind of want to... Oh, skeleton! Alright, so this is a nice big long hallway, right? Like, back up. Okay, so I was able to kill him, but he still hurt me pretty badly, so... I don't know, I kind of feel like you'd be better off just going with the whole shield block / melee attack approach. Is it a potion, I think? I'm gonna assume those are potions until proven otherwise. Alright, that was good. That was way better. I assume hitting them in the face is good and helpful. I still have taken a lot of damage here, so that's sort of suboptimal. Okay, let's think about... I do want to take a moment and look at this inventory situation. So, see what I was saying about how, like, the inventory, like, grid... Oh my goodness! That guy just came out of nowhere on me. That the inventory grid is so small when you're in 1080p. It's a little tricky, right? Because you're trying to fiddle with all these little squares, and the cursor is basically as big as the squares. I think if this all scaled up a little bit and was represented in the same scale that it is when the game's running in 720p, this whole interface would make a lot more sense and be a lot easier to use. I think, you know, there should be more effort put into scaling the UI to match the resolution that the game is running in, if only to make the size of the buttons and the size of the things that you're interacting with more conversant with the size of the mouse cursor. Because I think that's what kind of throws me off a little bit, is you see how big this mouse cursor is relative to these buttons and relative to these inventory slots and stuff. It all just seems a bit off. Whereas if I was running the game in 720p, it wouldn't work for the purposes of streaming, because I'm streaming at 1080p in OBS. So the game would be like in this tiny little square in the middle of a black screen. But it shows how having that different kind of messes it up, or having the user interface scale independently of the game itself is not optimal.
Another one joins the fray.
You know what? I'm not even going to worry about torches. I'm not, because I need to stick with my shield, I think. Just not even sweat it. Open this up. Yeah, let's see if we can navigate. I mean, this would be pretty scary. Like, I know there's no monsters or anything in here, but if I didn't know that, I'd be pretty freaked out coming in here without a light. Okay. Alright. We got this. Alright.
Best of luck, mortal.
Alright, so there's no guys in here. Oh, so that's something moving towards me. That shadow coming out of the that shadow coming out of the darkness into the light was pretty good. Like, sometimes you get effects just kind of for free. You know, like that's just the light falling the way that it did on that really simplistic model. Like, it made the whole effect of the skeleton like walking at me out of the darkness way cooler, because it was a simplistic kind of shape, right? Alright. Yeah, blocking with the shield is definitely the way to go, for sure. At least versus... oh, that's locked. Okay, good to know. At least versus the bow and arrow, from what I've seen so far. Stuff and things. More stuff and things. Oh, I think I just got some monies. I think that was my first money that I've gotten. I think the real fun of this, though, would be playing it with people. Like, you know, games like this have, to me, a somewhat limited appeal when it comes to the single-player experience. But I think the addition of extra people, kind of, you know, doing a dungeon crawl in a situation like this with these kind of, you know, fairly harsh rules governing everything, could make for some pretty interesting gameplay. Yeah, that's a really good question, right? Like, how do you fire a bow and arrow if you're holding a torch in your left hand? Yeah. So I found something from testing earlier, which is if you walk up to these... Wow, you scumlord. Seriously? Seriously? You're gonna sneak me like that? Not cool. That is not cool. Trying to demo here, people. Give me a break. Alright. Is there another one? No. Give me your stuff. Nah, I'm getting annoyed. Alright, so... as I was about to say before I was so rudely interrupted by creeps, I found that if you right-click on these fires, you get torches. So if you're in need of a torch, that's one way to get them. Oh man, I don't dare. I wonder if I could put a torch on a wall. Like, I know I was able to take them off of the wall, but I wonder if I could actually put one on. I'm gonna have to do some inventory management here to try that, because I don't have one in a hot spot. Hopefully I can do that. Without too much grief. Right. Alright. So if I were to go over to this wall, for example... Nope. Nope. Doesn't look like it. That would have been cool. That would have been a cool mechanic to be able to place torches on the wall and create light. Oh crap. Get away from me. Get away from me. Oh crap, my shield just broke. We all knew that was going to happen, right? We knew that was like a thing that was going to happen. The shield was going to not last forever, right? There's nothing really surprising about that. Let's see, it looks like I have another one. Oops. Go away, journal. So that's kind of a bummer. So my shield that was on the 4 key is broken, but it didn't automatically remove that item from the hotbar. So I actually would have to go find a shield in my inventory and replace that hotbar item, I guess. I guess if I did that, maybe? What are you doing, game? Alright, let me try to pick that up. Alright. It's useless, it says. Interesting. Well, I guess that's so you can trash, or I don't know if there's some kind of crafting that can be done with that or something. One thing I do like is when you want to get rid of stuff, you can just yank it off the bar and throw it into the world. That's definitely cool. So you don't have to like worry about a specific dropping of items mechanic. But on the negative side, I'm pretty hurt. Let's see. What do I want to do? Well, now since I don't have a shield, I should probably think about whipping a torch so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Yeah, these squares just get a little bit touchy when they're this small. I definitely don't like that. Alright, so that shield's garbage. Let's see if we can find something else. Stuff. More stuff. I've noticed that there is encumbrance, or at least there's like a weight indicator, like how much you're actually carrying on the character sheet, but I'm not sure how much that actually matters. What the heck was that? Okay, I'm hungry, and let's see, do I have anything immediately edible? Let's go ahead and eat this bread, I guess. Oh my god, the bread was gross. My guy did not like the bread. Okay, clearly should have eaten that bread sooner. So apparently the food in this degrades over time, so when you find food, it doesn't necessarily keep forever. So something to keep in mind. Which means I need to find some food that's not gross, I guess. But again, because like the tooltips are so small in 1080p, it's kind of a bummer because sometimes you spend more time trying to read the status of an item than would be preferable sometimes. Oh my goodness, what the heck was that? I starved to death. Awesome. I starved to death because I couldn't eat the rancid bread. You know, if I had to guess which engine this is in, I would probably guess something like Unity. I would think you could knock something like this out in Unity pretty easily. It certainly doesn't seem like something you'd have a lot of trouble doing in that engine, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what was actually used. That would just be a guess. Alright, I think I'm going to do one more run here, since obviously these are probably going to be pretty short. I really am not far enough into the game to have a good sense of how everything in it works. I kind of just wanted to show off the basics of it, and then figured people can determine from that whether or not this is something they'd be interested in. I definitely like some of the things they're doing here, and I think it's pretty apparent that this was done by a small group, if not by an individual. So it's kind of cool that it does as much as it does, as well as it does. And I can tell there's maybe some depth working in this game where, you know, there's maybe some interesting mechanical stuff going on. Oh, this is interesting. So I think I may have found a bug. So the door is locked, and I certainly didn't see a key on the way in here. So I'm thinking the only way I get through this door is if I break it down. I wonder if that's possible. Oh yeah, okay, so the door has durability. Durability, get it? See what I did there? Durability. Woohoo! Alright. Okay, yeah, this is, again, a totally different layout, so that... Oh, hey, skeleton guy, what's up? Dude, I must have got stronger from beating that door down, because I was one-shotted that fool. What's up with that? Okay, things are looking up. Things are looking slightly less horrifying. Oh, I think that's a rat. Is that a rat? Oh my god! No! No rat, no! 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 None of that. Is that cheese? Yes, rats apparently drop cheese. I think that's cheese. Oh my god, what is happening? What is happening right now? I don't even know. Are these creatures, like, attacking each other? I think these creatures are attacking each other. I think that's what's happening. Okay, I'm a little bit hurt. I feel like I need to eat some of these cheese before I die, just for science. Okay, cool. That's probably going to give me some health back over time. At least that's what it seemed to do in the games that I played before I started streaming. So here we have a water fountain. There's also an enemy lurking over there in the darkness. I feel like maybe I should attack the darkness and kill that enemy before I talk about the water fountain. Well, okay, no, here, I'll try to talk about the water fountain, and that'll make the enemy come, because that's how things work, right? So the water fountains, when you get thirsty, you can drink from them by right-clicking on them, and then they stop, like, spurting water up. And I would assume that if you were playing this in a group, that you would have to choose, like, who's going to drink, right? Like, based on who's the most thirsty or whatever. Because it seems like once somebody drinks from the fountain, it's no longer drinkable. I'm also going to go out on a limb and assume that this replenishes mana, but I don't... Oh my god! What are you? What are you? I don't like you. So yeah, I think this game is pretty fun. It's very simple, and it's not very elaborate in a lot of ways, but I think there's some fun to be had with this. I think people might enjoy it, and it's like 15% off right now because it just came out. So I think they're selling it for like $6 on Steam, which I think, like, you know, if you got a couple of friends that you want to play a dungeon crawler with, you could probably do worse than this. It seems like there's enough going on here that it would be interesting and fun to play with people. But I think that's going to do it for me for now. I just kind of wanted to show off a little bit of this while I had a few free minutes. But if you enjoyed what you saw here and you want to see more of it, please do hit that follow button, and you'll know when I go live in the future. I actually don't stream very much anymore because I'm spending most of my time working on my own game. But when I do get a chance here and there, I like to hop on and show off games that I think are interesting or people might enjoy that aren't getting a lot of attention otherwise. So, but thanks for stopping by, and hope you guys enjoyed what you've seen here. Until next time, this is Barony, available now on Steam.